All right, what is going on? We have the short block here back from the machine shop. All the main caps are torqued. The machine shop checked all the specs and they said it's good to go. So matter of fact, they wrote it down right here. So today we're going to be cleaning this block out from any debris, any metal that was still there from when they machined it. And we're going to get to assembling, putting the crankshaft, the rods, the pistons, the rings, get it all onto a fully assembled short block. Some tools I'm going to be using, I might need more. This is from the top of my head what I could think of. Some sockets, let's see what else we got. Some brushes to clean the holes for the head studs. Got assembly lube, torque wrench in the back. Some transmission fluid to clean the cylinder walls, stay clean. A ratchet. We have a marker here to mark all the torque bolts or nuts. We have a stretch gauge here. So it's just some of the tools I'm gonna be using. Probably need more, but once we get started, I'll see. Oh yeah, we also have the ring filer here. All right, so we have the main caps off. We're gonna put the crankshaft on right here and then put the plastic gauge and torque him down, see what the plastic gauge reading. We're looking for a 0.003, something around that area should be good, just to double check the machine shop's work. All right, so we have the crankshaft. We're just gonna put it inside here. So right now we're just laying the plastic gauge on the crankshaft, and then we're gonna tighten it up. Alright, so now we just gotta put the caps back on with the bearings. That one, next one. Okay, so now we're gonna put the nuts back on, torque them down, take it right back off, and then just get the reading. And like I said, we're looking for a 0.003, which should be on this side. So it should be around that size. Alright, so right now we already tightened all these studs and nuts to the specification. Right now we're loosening them back up so we could check the, hold on, let me grab this for you. So we could check the plastic gauge and make sure it reads the correct reading. Once we do that, then we could add the oil squirters inside and then put the crankshaft back and tighten it to its final torque spec. Last two. All right, let me just show you guys some of the stuff we have here. The rings, the piston, the wrist pin, some of the old stuff that's gonna get back on the car. We got the rods in here, put them out shortly so you guys can see it. Alright, so right here we have the section we're going to be using, the 0.001, 0.0015, 2, and 3. So we're looking for something in between 0.002 and 3. So right here you can see the plastic gauge has spread out because it got crushed. So now we're going to put this in here and line it up. So that one is too big. It's still too big. And then that 0.002 and 0.003 is right in between. So now you see the measurement that the machine shop put right here. That's right on point. So that's good. I already measured all of them. They all match up. They're all pretty much the same thing that the machine shop wrote. So from now on, we just gotta clean everything. Put the oil squirters. Put lube here. Put the caps back on. Tighten them all back to the torque spec that is written on the block. So for these two are 70. These two are 32. And you go at a 3-step. So we did was 25, then 55, then 70. For this one we did 15, 25, and then 32. So that's gonna be the next step. So right now we're gonna get to balancing the pistons and rods, seeing which one goes to which for the best balance. Right now I'm just gonna clean the cylinder walls here from anything nasty. I just did one pass and look how dirty it was. Yeah, so I'm gonna do it again. And if it's still dirty, one more time, make sure it's clean, and then we'll get to balancing the piston and rods. Alright, so we're gonna weigh the connecting rod. 663 grams. So I'm gonna rate that down. 2. 661.
That shit hit me so hard. I was just like, I wanna go to sleep.
The pistons with the wrist pin. See how much that weighs. 495.
Yeah, I was like, I'm done. Like yesterday, you were already done.
Alright, so we got all the rods and pistons matched up. Total was 1,157 grams. 1,158. 1,157, 1,158. So they're all pretty close. Now we're gonna be installing the rods to the pistons and the wrist pin. So the first step, these are very thick, or the compressed. So I have this new trick that I just learned as I was doing it. So I'm gonna show you. So first you put this end right here into this space right here, like that. Then you're gonna push down like that. You're gonna grab your vice grips and gentle pressure. You don't gotta clamp it, just enough to hold it in place. And also don't damage the inside right here, just barely in there. So like that. So now it's clamped on, and all you gotta do is push it in. So, and that's it. So now your lid release, and you can see it's inside. So now you put the wrist pin, and then this is gonna go facing down. Tangs are facing the back. Okay, so just like that. Double check, tanks in the back, facing down. Perfect. So now we gotta put the other set in. This one might be a little trickier just because you have the pin in the way. Alright, so I had my friend help me out off video just because it was kind of hard. So all he did was hold it for me right there, which brought the pin right here, and I just pushed it in, it clipped in. So now, ready to go. Okay, now let's do piston number 4. Alright, so here we have the difference between forged piston and rod combo and stock Mitsubishi Evo 10 piston and rod. So you see the rods are way thicker. The hardware is a lot stronger as well. We put better bearings in there. The pistons side by side. This one doesn't have any rings yet, but Alright, so right here we have our piston and rod combo. We have our first top ring. We have our black second ring. So we're gonna measure both of these rings out on number 1, and we're gonna see what they measure right now, and then we're gonna try to get them to the measurement we want, which is 0.027 inches. So the way I was doing it is just put one side in just a little bit and compress the other side, and then you push it at the same time. That you want to keep them even. You don't want to bend them out like that because they're really fragile and they'll stay like that. Push it in. Now we got the measurements. So we want to, a goal is a 0.27. We're going to start at 0.24, see if it even fits. And yeah, that's way too tight. So I'm going to bring the ring out. I'm going to put it right in the machine. I'm going to start grinding it. And then we want to make sure they're still squared. And it looks pretty good right there. So put it back inside. Okay, perfect. Push it in about 1 inch. Like that. Measure again, 0.24. Still too tight, so you gotta go more with the grinding. Alright, so all the piston oil rings are gapped. So now the next step is to install it onto the piston. So per Wiesco, it tells you which piston goes where. So oil expander is going to go on the bottom, engine front. So engine front is a dot, so it's going to go like this. So what they mean is, they mean that the gaps where they meet, and it should be facing up like that, it's going to go down here, not here. It's going to go down here. And then we got the oil top ring, so the skinny rings right here, these two. This one's saying it's gonna end up with the gap here. The other one, bottom gap, goes right here. This is the first and second compression ring. This is the second one. So it says here, second compression ring gap in the front. So I'm gonna go straight just like that. For the first ring is the same thing, but the opposite way. So it goes like that, and it has a little writing right there. So now we're just gonna install them. So you always want to use the pliers that are meant for the job. So these are for the rings. Just gotta open a little bit, and then the pliers do the rest of the work. So this is gonna be the bottom oil ring. So it's gonna be right here. So you open it. These are pretty flimsy, so you might have to hold them like this, but open it enough to get it over. Slowly bring it down. Just like that. And the gap has to line right here. Next we're gonna do the oil expander. And this one, the two ends have to be like that, facing up, not down. For these, it says it has to be oil ring expander gap at the bottom of the piston right here. These I could just do it with my hand because they're so easily bendable. You just gotta line it up. Alright, so we messed with the oil ring, and it just gotta keep messing with it until it pops into place. And then we just gotta confirm that the bottom ring is here and the oil expander, the ends are right here. So now we gotta move on to the third oil ring, which is gonna go right on the top. And right here it says top, no, where is it? Oil rail top gap right here. So it has to be like that. So now put this one in here again. Just rotate it a little bit. Alright, so now the end gaps are right here. You can see that on the top. And everything is in place. Everything rotates nice and easy. Okay. So now we gotta go to the second ring. And the writing is gonna be on the top. So it says here, second compression ring. Goes right on the front, like that. Put that one on. You gotta be gentle. Right here, just gotta go a little more down. Just like that. Okay, perfect. Now you can see the gaps are right here. Now the last ring, top ring, again, the markings on the top. And then it says top compression ring gap, going right in the back. So we gotta rotate it. Perfect. So now you can see that the gap is right here on the back of the piston. So this one's all set. We're gonna do the other two and then we're gonna continue the video. Alright, so we're gonna be putting these oil squirters in. And they go right there in that hole. Each cylinder has one. On the website for these pistons, it said it needs modifications, so we might need to bend them. So we're gonna just do like a little test fit and see where they hit, if they do hit. Alright, so we got the crankshaft and cylinder number 1 rod together. It's not torqued down, we just test fitting everything. And the reason we test fit is to see if the oil squirters, which are right there and right there, would hit the piston, and it does. So let me show you where it hits. So let's see if I get a good angle here. I'll just hold this lightly. Alright, I'm gonna move the crankshaft just a little bit. So the oil squirter is already hitting the piston right there. So when it comes down, it hits it right there. So we gotta modify it, we gotta move them to the left so it doesn't hit. So we have the original squirter, and we have the one we bent. So you can kind of see the difference in the bend. So we're gonna put this one on the cylinder right here. We're gonna take off this one, put it on, and see if it hits like it did before. So take this one off. Take this off. And let's pray it doesn't hit. Looks good to me. Let's bring it down all the way. About there should be the max. That looks pretty good. Right. So we're gonna test it with the crankshaft. Alright, so we're gonna bend them again. Go ahead, tighten that up. Give it a little squeeze. Squeeze. Alright. Check it out. I gotta bend it up a little bit. Check that out. I was putting it like right here, like inside too. Alright, it should be good. So take that one out, let's test fit it again. Alright, so we bent all the squirters. You can take a look inside all the cylinders. They're all pointing towards the middle now. You see how it doesn't hit? So we're still gonna rotate the assembly afterwards, but we just wanna make sure right now. So right now, since we're gonna be putting the crankshaft and torquing it, and also putting the pistons and rods, we're gonna be using this lube to make sure everything is lubed up for the first starter. So this one could get pushed down. And we already also added conventional oil on the cylinder sleeves, so the rings could slide up and down nice and easy without scratching. So you can put a little bit right here. Nice and lubed up. Alright, so we have all the bearings lubricated. We're going to be putting the pistons afterwards. So here comes the crankshaft. I'll help them line it up. Alright, perfect. Right there. So now we're going to be putting the main caps. Like I said, we're going to be also lubricating all the journals. So the top side of the bearing, or the bottom side, if you're looking at it the other way, is lubricated. Alright, then we're going to be putting the pistons back on. Alright, so we already lubricated all the journals. So now we're going to put the main caps back on. Number 5. Number 4. Number 3. Two, and the last one is 1. So just push them down. Okay, so now we're gonna put the nuts on, and then we're gonna be in the next video torquing them down in the sequence. So we're gonna be torquing these to 70 in 3 steps: 25, 55, 70. We're going to be torquing the small ones in 3 steps: 15, 25, 32. So we're going to start with number 1 right here. And go on to number 2. Alright, so we modified the squirter so they don't hit. Let me see if I get a light so I can show you guys. Alright, so there you guys, you can see that. It clears. Just make sure it clears the rods too when you're rotating them. So now we're going to get to torquing and stretching out the rod bolts. So we're going to show you guys that right now. So we have done all 3 rods. The last rod we're doing is this one right here. So these bolts are loose. So we're gonna measure right here. You come on this side. We're gonna measure the how much is at 0, and then we're gonna see how much we stretch them out when we torque them. So 0 would be there. So we're gonna back it up a little bit. Right there, right in the middle is at 0. We're gonna do this side too to see if it lines up. If it does, great. If not, we gotta move the line. So this one's 1/0, so I'm gonna move this one here, just so I remember. Yeah, okay. So now we're gonna torque them down to 60. The range is from 55 to 65, but doing the other 3, we noticed that 60 to 64 is where they want to be at for the stretch we're looking for. So I'm gonna actually leave this like up, and we're gonna keep recording, and then we're gonna torque it down. So 60. I'm gonna snug them up. Snug. Snug. So we're gonna measure the stretch on the bolt now. We go back on here. Alright, let's see. So it was at 0/4. And now we got about 0.003, 0.005, 0.004. So we're gonna need a little more now. So I'm gonna take it out. I'm gonna loosen it up, clean off the lube, put some new lube on it, and then we're gonna retorque it to 62, and see if that one gets the stretch that we're looking for. Alright, right there should be the center, somewhere right there. And let's see, it reads. No, let's say that one right there. That's a 7. And it's 1 line over, so. So it would read 0.006. So this one is all set. We just gotta retorque this side. Alright, so let me loosen this up. I just hold that one. So we're gonna clean the bolt up, put some new lube, retorque it at 62, and should be getting that range of stretch that we're looking for. Now it should give us that. At least the range also is here, so we wrote down all the numbers for this specific build, the ARP 2000 bolts, rod bolts. So the minimum would be 55 foot-pounds, maximum 65, and then the stretch would be 0.0058 to 0.0062. So start off with the lowest amount, 55. If it doesn't get into the range of stretch, then loosen them back up, and then take the old lube out, put some new lube, and then retorque it down with a higher torque number. So let's move this out of the way and let's see. Let's begin. It's always landing on that 6. So that's 0.006. So that's it for this one. I'm gonna mark these up. And alright, so since we're done doing the short block part, we're gonna be putting on this cradle. So you gotta might line up these dowel pins, one on the bottom down there, one on the top. Lines up there, lines up there. So this one lined up, yep. This one lined up too. You just gotta give it a little tap. Bop. That's it. Now we're gonna put the bolts in. If you're comfortable torquing them by hand, torque it by hand. If you're not, then don't use the bucket. I'm just gonna put them by hand, so it's gonna be next. All right, so we already installed the bolts. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's already tightened down. Next step, since RTV is still not dry, just want to put the rear main seal on. Add a little bit of oil here, slide it on nice and easy, and then tighten these bolts. That's the next step. Alright, so I already added a little bit of oil on the, I cleaned it, then I added the oil on the crankshaft. So now I just gotta add a little bit of RTV here, not too much, and we're gonna put the seal back on. And I like to do this after I put the cradle on. The reason is, if this glue dries and then I add this glue on there, there's gonna be 2 different times that they dry, so they might not bond together as good. If you do it all at once, it's all one piece, so it just works better. It never leaked before like that, so it'll be good to go. So we got the new seal. Just gonna slide it on real nice and easy like this. That's it. Give it a little tug like that, and then you start putting the bolts in there. Is going to be putting on the oil pump here, setting up the timing side, and then we're going to keep going step by step on this process. So, alright, so it's time to put the oil pump on. A lot of people take these off. I don't want to do that. The less work, the better. So I just leave this on here like that. Gently slide it down at an angle at the bottom, and then just got to line it up this down pin. Just like that. So now bolt this down, make sure this is tight, and then put the two guides with a tensioner like that. That's gonna be the next step. All right, so we're gonna be putting on the guides for the chain of the oil pump. So to start, we can put the easier side on. It just lines up 1, 2 right there. So line that up. Make sure it goes in my hand. And this one, you gotta kind of wind the spring back, and the spring goes over here. So what I do is I kind of put the spring on, push it back, and the bolt is gonna go into here. So push the spring back, get the chain on this side, like that. Then just hold it there so it doesn't pop off. Put the bolt in. Give it a feel with my ratchet. That's tight. That's good. The timing for the oil pump is all set. Tensioned up right there, nice and tight. So, alright, so we have the block on the stand. We're gonna be working on the installing the head, and then we're gonna be putting the timing side together. So it's gonna be next thing. Is to put the head studs in. We're going to be using some Loctite, if I can find it here. And we're using this Loctite. It's just a little bit just to hold it in place and make sure it doesn't vibrate off when the car is being ran. Then we're going to put a little bit of RTV here, a little bit of RTV on top of the gasket, per Mitsubishi standards. We're gonna put the gasket on the head studs, then put the head on, and then put the nuts and torque them down. So that's the next step. That's already clean. This is clean, and we also just installed these dowel pins to line up the head. So all right, so we're gonna be assembling this head onto the block. So first, we'll just get this old RTV off of here. Put some of these. Put some Loctite on the studs just so they don't really move. Just a little. And these are hand tightened according to ARP. So per ARP standards, we have to put these washers in first because they say they won't fit once you put the head on. So I'm just gonna put this in here, like that. That's one. You gotta make sure you put the flat part facing down. And 2. Alright, so that's all set. Alright, so we already put the Loctite on the bottom of these. Now we're gonna put the lube up, and then we're gonna put the cylinder head on top. And also we gotta put more RTV on top of this gasket as well. So that's gonna be the next clip. So one last clean here. Just weighting it down. Alright, now we're gonna install the head. Nicely done. Now we're gonna be putting all the nuts on the studs, hand tighten them. We're gonna do a 3-step torquing process. So it's gonna be 30 pounds, 60 pounds, and then 90 pounds, the final step. Once that's done, this head is torqued. It's good to go. So we're not. Alright, good. See what we can do with it. Let's do the easier side. It's actually working. Should I cut this part out of the video? Just kidding, I won't. Alright, let's worry about this one now. See the magnet with it. Alright, so this nut right here is the hardest one to put into the block. So what I'm doing is just kind of spinning it until it gets down enough and I can put my socket in there. This ARP lube is working great. Almost there.
I'm gonna have to shave the back of that socket.
Yeah, I'm gonna shave some off. Alright, so this is the torquing process. 30, 60, 90, 3 steps. We have the way ARP wants us to, the sequence they want us to torque it down. So we're gonna bring it to 30 right now. Boom, ready to go. Let's start it. last step is 90. So alright, hold this one nice and tight. Yeah, the camera. Damn. So it reminds me when I used to do this like then. You like that? Ready? Damn. Alright, 2, 3, 4. Let me get a better angle like this. Are you ready? That's 90. I'm getting a workout today. Should make a meme like all mechanics should post their torquing face. Like, yeah, that shit about to hold 3,000 pounds of boost.
You got no more space, bro. You playing limbo with a torque wrench?
Yeah, okay.
You playing limbo, bro.
Yeah, it's choking me out. I'm starting to sweat now. That was something. 9.
You lucky you don't have to do 110 foot pound.
One more. Not even one. Alright. That's a 3-step sequence. This step is putting the camshafts in, and make sure this bearing goes back in too. So clean it up a little bit right here, and show them which bearing this is right here. So that one, find the bearing right here, clean this up too, and then tang to tang, so like that. And then boom, make sure that's straight. This is straight right there. All right, so now we just gotta add some lubricant. Make sure you close this door. Add a little bit here. You should clean that up because I don't know why it got dirty. Now you put some lubricant. We also gotta add a little bit here. It already has some, but I'm gonna add a little more just to be safe. Bruh, see, let's take it. Alright, so now we gotta put the cams in. So you could look for the EX for exhaust or EIN for intake, or you could just see that this one has the bearing here, like the bearing side goes here, like that. The other one goes here, like that. You see where it lands nice and easy. Right there, I think good. Perfect. Now put some more lube on the top. Perfect. Now we gotta install the caps. Then make sure they're clean. And these are the AMS caps, if anyone was wondering. This is clean. Alright, the other bearing is on there too, you can see it. So just put it in there. Last two. That's good. Alright, so we're just gonna hand tighten these all down and start torquing them. Alright, so we're just gonna be torquing these caps. I already torqued them down. I'm gonna still just show you so it clicks. Okay, so we're gonna be swapping out the housings. We just finished taking the bolts out.
We're gonna have to buy it off our own.
We're gonna be putting this housing on the billet from, I think it's Torque Solutions.
Yep.
There you go. So the internals, boom. We're gonna put that in there exactly how it came out. All right, so we're gonna be popping the spring out. Simply grab it, and just like that, you pop it out. Alright, and then now we're gonna be disassembling the other side. So some of the springs fell out, as you can see. All you have to do is grab the, what the heck? You gotta grab the this little like plastic piece. Grab the spring. You gotta put the knob, the notch right here. Boom. The other one right there, just like that. So now this has to face the outside of the housing, and the spring has to face the actual the internals right here. So like this, just slide it in there. Boom. Just gotta do that to all of them.
Yeah, because we gotta pull some different.
Then we're gonna have to put more. We're gonna have to put the pressure back on with the spring.
That's fine. I still have 11,000 photos. You see probably.
So now we gotta put this back. So we're just gonna have to align that, and then we gotta swap this one out too. So we gotta press this out and then put it onto this. So right here we have the exhaust cam internals. All the little seals are in, all the little tabs are out, so that's perfectly fine. It moves nice and easy. So now I'm just gonna put the cover on, press the bolts back in, and we're gonna throw it into the engine. All right, so if you can zoom in right here, we are pressing the pin back in. So you got to line it up perfectly, and they got to be flat. The rag got to be flat, and then just somebody hold the vise unless it's bolted down, and the rest you just got to use your force, you know, push it in. It's about a 1/2 inch from the top to the surface right here, so that's where you want to be at. All right, so right now I'm just putting Loctite on all the 4 bolts that hold this housing together, just because for, you know, safety, make sure these don't back out going like 10k RPM. So, but yeah, so they don't back out while driving. And I'm gonna tighten them by hand. Yeah, just try to hold it. Don't gotta be too tight. Gotta make sure it's tight enough. Okay, it's tight. It's tight. Alright, that's good. Alright, so now last step would be to put the spring on. So yeah, just zoom in on that, and you can see everything's good to go now. Alright, so this is the intake cam gear. This is the intake cam. So we're just gonna align this dowel pin right here with that big middle dowel hole. So you're gonna hear a click. Alright, you're gonna put the bolt in. I believe the spec was like 54 foot-pounds. I'm gonna confirm that in the next video when I'm actually torquing it.
Must enter when flashing.
Well, cops pull out when you pass it.
So it's 60 pounds. Sometimes 50. Are you ready? Make sure it don't slip. Oh, you ready? Alright. Next one. Alright, ready? Alright, I'm good there. All set there. So now we're just gonna put the timing chain on, tensioner, the guides. Timing's all set. Then we'll put the timing cover on. I got my boy right here tightening up the oil pressure sensor. So I got the timing all set right here, color linked, matching. In the middle you have this mark right here facing this mark, and it's also facing the cylinder head. We got the 4 in the middle. We got this one matching, and the last one, which is the crankshaft, is matching. So last thing to do is pull this. That tightens it up, and before you just let it go, always make sure it's tight. So push this a little bit. Make sure it can't go no more. Alright. So now it's nice and tight. Got good tension. So we're gonna spin the engine a couple times, make sure everything looks good, nothing's hitting, and everything's gonna get sealed up. Alright, so I just put RTV on the timing cover, so I'm gonna put it on right now. Just like that. And boom, it's on. Alright, so I'm gonna put all the bolts on, flip the engine over, then put the oil pan on. We did the timing cover. All those bolts are already all set. Now I'm gonna be doing the oil pan area. So there's a brand new oil pan. I'm gonna seal it up and then put it on there. Alright, so oil pan is all tightened. AC compressor bracket, 3 12s. This is a long 12. These are 2 short ones. Oil pan is on. Gonna flip it and then start putting accessories on the side of the engine. So
I honestly think I think the easiest way. No, because you're not gonna fall right. If you go like this, you're right there, right? Yeah. You hold that side. No. That side's gonna come out first, and then we go step. Right. If it were to fall, it would come down this way. Yeah. So we gotta turn it around, just in case it does fall. That's true. So turn it around, and then we should just carry it.
Well, if it falls, it's gonna go like rolling over.
Yeah, roll. We're all not gonna.
All right, engine is downstairs. We're gonna be putting on intake manifold, exhaust manifolds. Well, I only got 1 manifold, so exhaust manifold, the turbo, everything back on the engine, get it fully assembled. Then we're gonna throw it on the tranny, and then we're gonna throw it in the car, and that should be good. All right, so we got the alternator, the AC compressor on, aluminum bracket on. Looking good. Now we're gonna put the intake. We're gonna wrap around here, get the thermostat housing, then wrap around here, get the water pump on here, and then we can start doing the rest of the engine. Intake is on. We just slapped it on for now. Everything is still not connected. We're just looking for the bolts for the, I think it's 3 bolts, 2 nuts on the top. Alright, so we're just screwing in the bolts right here. So you have one right here. You're pointing it right here. One, there's the middle one, and then there's the side one. And then for the nuts, it goes right on here. Another one is right there. So this one's kind of tricky because we got the hose, but I could just sneak my hand under. Alright, so engine is looking more together now. Most of the harness is on. We're doing the metal Hyundai Genesis pulley swap. Let's see, everything else looking more official now. Water pump is all set, tightened up. Thermostat housing is in. Gotta put the spark plugs in still. Alright, time to do the exhaust manifold. Let's put this here. Line up the studs. Boom. I'm gonna be putting this turbo on. Just like that. Boom. So now we just gotta put all the lines together and all the coolant hose lines together. It should be good to go. Alright, engine is fully assembled. So I just replaced the throwout bearing. Nice and smooth. So now I'm gonna take the engine off, put the flywheel on it, clutch on it, and then put these two together. We can have a full power train ready. Alright, engine's on the crane. I'm gonna take this bracket off and then put the clutch on. Got the clutch in. Monolock on. Alright, now it's time for this tranny to go and get connected to it. Alright, so it's connected. Super pain in the butt. Even when I did mine, the transmission didn't want to just slide in to the engine nice and smooth. So what I did was I made sure the inside was lined up. Let me see if I could give you a little sneak peek in there. So I made sure the splines in there were lined up. I turned the engine over clockwise. Everything spun nice and easy. And then I just put a bolt in each corner. Started going around and around, tightening it up. And the engine and tranny got together. So as you can see, it's nice and together now. So all that's left is to throw it in the car. And also don't forget to clip your fork onto your clutch. Like that. So now when it stays in the middle, that's how you know it's clipped on. so the engine is in. All the accessories are connected. Gonna be putting the belt on. Fuel injectors are on. All the electrical side is on. I need the intake, but for some of these hoses. What else? Got starters on. Oil pressure sensors on. Yeah, so we gotta do the belt. Transfer case axles. The two mounts, one in the front and the back. Probably a couple other things, and then it should be ready to start.
All right.